The moment had come. Captain Li Wu-jin watched as 312 Krillian warships hung in space like a deadly cloud between his ship and Earth. The alien fleet was so large it blocked out the stars. Each vessel carried enough firepower to destroy a human city, and they were all pointed toward his home world. AI reports ready for cyber attack, Kim Dong-ho announced from his station. Quantum weapon charged to maximum power. All fighters in position, Lieutenant Choi Hee-jin added. Rescue team standing by. Commander Park Sora studied the tactical display with intense focus. Sir, if this doesn't work, that fleet will reach Earth in 4 hours. Our defense stations won't be able to stop them. Lee nodded grimly. Everything depended on the next few minutes. They had one chance to save humanity from total destruction. One chance to prove that courage and intelligence could overcome impossible odds. Begin the attack, Lee ordered. The ancient hegemony AI struck first. Invisible signals raced across space, penetrating Krillian computer systems that had been built using stolen technology thousands of years old. The AI moved through alien networks like water flowing through cracks, finding every weakness. One by one, Krillian ships began to experience problems. Navigation systems failed. Weapons went offline. Communications networks crashed. Within 60 seconds, the entire alien fleet was blind and helpless. Direct hit on their systems, Kim reported with excitement. The AI has complete control of their fleet. Now, Lee shouted. The Taeguk's Fury fired its quantum weapon at maximum power. The beam of pure energy lanced out toward the Krillian command ship, but this wasn't a normal attack. The weapon had been modified with hegemony technology to create a chain reaction. The quantum pulse hit the first alien vessel and jumped to the next, then the next, spreading through the entire fleet like lightning. Each ship's power system shut down as the energy wave passed through them. In less than 5 minutes, 312 warships were drifting helplessly in space. Launch fighters, Lee commanded. Choi led her squadron toward the disabled fleet at maximum speed. They had 15 minutes to find and rescue all human prisoners before the Krillians could regain control of their ships. 20 fighters spread out among hundreds of alien vessels searching for the prison compartments. Found them, Choi's voice crackled over the radio. Prison ship Alpha. I count 50 human captives. Prison ship Beta here, another pilot reported. 30 more prisoners. The rescue operation was like nothing they had ever attempted. Fighter pilots used cutting tools to break through alien hulls, then led confused and frightened prisoners back to their ships. The rescued humans had been captive for months or years, barely believing they were finally free. But something was wrong. The Krillian fleet was beginning to recover faster than expected. Emergency power systems were coming online throughout the alien ships. Warning lights flashed on the bridge of the Taeguk's Fury. Sir, Park reported with growing alarm. Some of their ships are regaining power. The cyber attack is losing effectiveness. How is that possible? Lee demanded. The AI's voice answered over the speakers, sounding strained and different than before. The Krillians are adapting. They're cutting off infected systems and switching to backup networks. I cannot maintain control much longer. On the tactical display, Lee watched as Krillian ships began to move again. Weapon systems were coming back online. If the aliens regained full control, they would destroy the rescue fighters and continue their attack on Earth. Kim was frantically working at his console, trying to recharge the quantum weapon for another shot. But the massive energy discharge had drained their power grid completely. How long for another shot? Lee asked. 20 minutes minimum, Kim replied. The quantum core needs time to cool down and recharge. They didn't have 20 minutes. Already, Krillian fighters were launching from the carrier ships that had regained power. The alien pilots were confused and disorganized, but they would figure out what was happening soon enough. Choi, how many prisoners have you rescued? Lee called over the radio. 247 so far, Choi answered. But there are still more ships to search. You have 5 minutes, Lee told her. Then get back here. The next few minutes were chaos. Human fighters raced against time to find the last prisoners, while Krillian ships slowly came back to life around them. The AI was fighting a desperate battle in cyberspace, trying to maintain control of critical systems. Then disaster struck. One of the Krillian battleships fully restored power and opened fire on the rescue fighters. Plasma beams lit up space as alien gunners tried to stop the human pilots. 2 fighters were hit and destroyed, their pilots dying as heroes in the rescue effort. That's it, Lee shouted. All fighters return immediately. But Choi's voice came back over the radio with heartbreaking news. Sir, there's one more prison ship. I can see humans inside, but the docking bay is damaged. It will take another 3 minutes to cut through. Negative! Return now, that's an order. I'm sorry, Captain, but I can't leave them behind. Lee watched helplessly as Choi's fighter approached the last prison ship, while Krillian vessels all around began targeting her. She was going to die trying to save people she had never met, and there was nothing he could do to help her. That's when the AI made its final decision. Captain Lee, the ancient intelligence said calmly, I am transferring all remaining power to your quantum weapon. This will allow one more shot, but it will destroy this station and end my existence. Wait, Lee protested. There has to be another way. There is no other way, the AI replied. My people died fighting the Krillians 10,000 years ago. Today I join them, but today you win. The hegemony station began to glow with incredible energy. Ancient systems that had waited millennia for this moment came to life one final time. All of that power flowed into the Taeguk's Fury's quantum weapon, creating a charge far beyond anything it was designed to handle. Warning, Kim shouted. The weapon is overloading. If we fire at this power level, it might tear our ship apart. Lee looked at the tactical display. Choi was still trying to rescue the last prisoners. The Krillian fleet was almost fully operational again. In minutes, they would resume their attack on Earth. Fire the weapon, Lee ordered. The second quantum pulse was different from the first. This one didn't just disable ships, it reached into their very structure and tore it apart at the molecular level. The energy wave spread through the Krillian fleet like a plague, reducing mighty warships to drifting debris. The Taeguk's Fury shook violently as the weapon fired. Hull plates cracked under the stress. Systems overloaded throughout the ship, but they survived barely. Behind them, the ancient hegemony station exploded in a burst of light visible across half the solar system. The AI's last gift had saved them all at the cost of its own existence. Fleet status? Lee asked when the shaking stopped. All Krillian vessels destroyed or disabled, Park reported with amazement in her voice. Total enemy casualties, 312 ships. And our people? All fighters accounted for, Choi's voice came over the radio. Final count, 431 human prisoners rescued. Lee slumped in his captain's chair, exhausted but victorious. They had done the impossible. One experimental warship had destroyed an entire alien fleet and saved Earth from certain destruction, but the victory came with a price. Good people had died in the battle. The ancient AI had sacrificed itself for humanity's freedom, and Lee knew the war wasn't truly over. There were still Krillian fleets in other parts of human space. Sir, Park said quietly, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Yang on Earth. The main screen showed Yang's face, but he looked different now. Instead of despair, his eyes showed hope and pride. Captain Lee, Yang said, we've been monitoring the battle. The entire Krillian Grand Fleet? They're all gone? How is that possible? It's a long story, Admiral, Lee replied. But yes, the threat to Earth has been eliminated. My God, Yang whispered. Do you realize what you've done? The other Krillian fleets are already retreating from human space. They're terrified. One ship destroyed their entire Grand Fleet. They think we have weapons they can't possibly fight. Lee looked around at his crew. Park was smiling for the first time in months. Kim was checking damage reports but seemed satisfied with their performance. Choi was coordinating the care of rescued prisoners, making sure everyone received medical attention. They had saved Earth. They had rescued hundreds of prisoners. They had ended a war that seemed hopeless just days before. But most importantly, they had proven something that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. Humanity would never surrender. No matter how bad the odds looked, no matter how powerful the enemy seemed, humans would find a way to fight back. They would use their intelligence, their courage, and their determination to overcome any challenge. The Taeguk's Fury turned toward Earth, carrying its crew of heroes home. Behind them, the wreckage of the Krillian Grand Fleet drifted in space as a monument to human ingenuity and the power of never giving up. The war was over. Humanity had won, and the galaxy would remember this day as the moment when one warship proved that sometimes, against all logic and reason, the impossible could become possible. The Taeguk's Fury moved through space like a deadly ghost. 3 days had passed since the encounter at the ancient hegemony station. The ship now carried technology that was thousands of years old, integrated with human engineering in ways that should have been impossible. Kim Dong-ho had worked with the AI to create something entirely new. Captain Lee Woo-jin studied the holographic display showing the Krillian fleet positions. Over the past 3 days, his ship had become a nightmare for the aliens. They would appear from nowhere, destroy 2 or 3 ships, then vanish before the enemy could respond. The Krillians had lost 47 vessels and were becoming desperate. Target acquired, Commander Park Sora reported from her station. 3 Krillian destroyers traveling in formation toward Earth. These weren't just random attacks. Lee was using strategy learned from ancient Korean military tactics. His ancestors had fought against impossible odds in mountain warfare, using the terrain to defeat larger armies. Now he was applying those same principles to space combat. The quantum weapon had been completely transformed by hegemony technology. Instead of one massive blast, it could now fire precise pulses that jumped from ship to ship. Each pulse was tuned to disrupt Krillian technology while leaving human systems undamaged. "Begin the attack," Lee ordered. Lieutenant Choi Hye-jin led her fighter squadron out of the hidden position behind a large asteroid. Her pilots had become experts at these ambush tactics. They moved like wolves hunting in a pack, coordinating every movement. The first quantum pulse hit the lead Krillian destroyer. The alien ship's shields failed instantly, and its weapons went offline. The energy jumped to the second ship, then the third, disabling all 3 vessels in seconds. The crews were alive but helpless. Human fighters swarmed the disabled ships, targeting their engines and communication systems. Within minutes, 3 more Krillian vessels were drifting helplessly in space. The aliens inside were trapped but unharmed, exactly as planned. "Excellent work," Lee said as the fighters returned. "How many prisoners did we recover?" 18 humans from the command ship, Choi reported, "including someone you need to meet." Back in the ship's medical bay, Lee found the rescued prisoners recovering from their ordeal. Most were in poor condition after months or years of captivity, but one young woman in a damaged pilot's uniform caught his attention. "Captain," the woman said, struggling to stand. "Lieutenant Nam Soo-jin, 7th Fighter Squadron. I was captured during the Battle of Proxima Station." Lee helped her sit back down. "That was 8 months ago. We thought everyone from that battle was killed." "The Krillians kept some of us alive," Nam explained. "They've been studying human military tactics by questioning prisoners. But I learned something important while I was captive." She pulled out a small data chip that she had hidden during her imprisonment. "Fleet movements, sir. The aliens are planning something big, not just the attack on Earth." Park examined the data chip with growing alarm. The information showed Krillian fleets moving throughout human space, attacking colonies and mining stations. Earth wasn't their only target. They were trying to destroy all of human civilization at once. "How many ships are involved?" Lee asked. "Over 2,000, Nam replied. "This grand fleet heading to Earth is just one part of it. They have 3 other fleets attacking human colonies in different sectors." The news was devastating, but also created an opportunity. If Lee could defeat this fleet completely, it might force the other Krillian forces to retreat. But that meant destroying or disabling nearly 300 remaining ships, including the ones carrying human prisoners. "Sir," Kim's voice came through the intercom, "the AI is requesting to speak with you." In the station's control room, the hegemony AI had been monitoring Krillian communications. Its ancient sensors could decode alien transmissions that human technology couldn't detect. "Captain Lee," the AI said, "I have disturbing news. The Krillian fleet admiral is planning to use the human prisoners as shields. If you continue attacking his ships, he will execute them." "Can you intercept their communications?" Park asked. "Better than that," the AI replied. "I can hack into their ship systems directly. The Krillians built their technology using stolen hegemony designs. I still have access codes from 10,000 years ago. This changed everything. If the AI could hack Krillian ships, they might be able to disable the entire fleet without firing a shot." But Lee was cautious about trusting alien technology completely. "What exactly are you proposing?" he asked. "A coordinated cyber attack," the AI explained. "I disable their ship's systems while you use the quantum weapon to prevent them from escaping. The entire fleet becomes helpless in minutes. And the prisoners? I can unlock their cells and disable the guard systems. Your fighters can board the ships and evacuate all human captives before the Krillians can react. It was an ambitious plan, but Lee could see the potential. Instead of a long battle that would cost many lives, they could end the war in a single decisive action, but it required perfect timing and coordination. How long do we have? Lee asked. The Krillian fleet will reach Earth in 18 hours, the AI replied. But they're stopping at the edge of the solar system to reorganize. This is our best chance to attack while they're stationary. Lee called his senior officers together to plan the operation. They would need every fighter and every crew member working perfectly. There would be no second chances. Park, I need targeting solutions for every ship in that fleet, Lee ordered. The quantum weapon will need to disable them all simultaneously. Kim, can the weapon handle that much power? With the hegemony upgrades, yes, Kim replied. But it will drain our entire power grid. We'll only get one shot. Choi, your fighters. We'll have 15 minutes to board the prison ships and evacuate all human captives. Can your pilots handle that many rescue operations at once? We'll make it work, sir, Choi answered with determination. My people won't leave anyone behind. The final part of the plan was the most dangerous. After disabling the Krillian fleet, they would need to send a message to the other alien forces. Lee wanted them to know that humanity could strike back anywhere, anytime. We're not just saving Earth, Lee told his crew. We're ending this war. When we're done, the Krillians will think twice before attacking humans again. The next 16 hours were spent in preparation. Every system was checked and double-checked. Fighter pilots practiced boarding procedures. Engineers calibrated the quantum weapon for the massive energy discharge it would need to produce. Meanwhile, the AI worked on penetrating Krillian computer systems. It was like watching a master burglar picking an ancient lock. Slowly, carefully, the AI found ways into the alien fleet's networks. I have access to their command ship, the AI reported. Fleet Admiral Morthak is planning to begin the Earth attack in 6 hours. He's moving the fleet into final position. Then it's time, Lee decided. All hands to battle stations. The Taeguk's Fury moved out of its hiding place among the asteroids. Behind them, the ancient hegemony station powered up weapons that hadn't been used for millennia. The AI had decided to join the battle directly. Captain, Park said, I'm reading 312 Krillian vessels. They're arranged in a defensive sphere around their command ships. Perfect, Lee replied. They've put themselves exactly where we want them. On the main screen, the alien fleet looked like a swarm of black insects hanging in space. Each ship bristled with weapons pointed toward Earth. In a few hours, those weapons would begin destroying everything humans had built. But Lee had other plans. Today the hunters would become the hunted. Today humanity would show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. All stations report ready, Park announced. AI confirms ready, Kim added. Fighters in position, Choi reported. Lee took a deep breath and gave the order that would change everything. Begin Operation Hammer Strike, show them what humans can do. The Taeguk's Fury limped through space with sparks flying from damaged hull plates. The last battle had been fierce. They had destroyed 12 Krillian ships using Kim Dong-ho's asteroid mines, but the aliens had fought back hard. Plasma burns covered the ship's armor, and several systems were offline. Captain Lee Woo-jin studied the damage reports with growing concern. They had bought Earth sometime, but the main alien fleet was still coming. Worse, the Krillians now knew exactly where the human ship was hiding. 300 enemy vessels were converging on their position. Sir, Commander Park Sora said from her station, I'm detecting an old space station about 2 hours away. It's not on any of our star charts. Lee looked at the scanner display. The station was huge, maybe 10 times bigger than any human outpost. But it was dark and silent, floating alone in the void between asteroids. Is it Krillian? He asked. No, sir. The design is completely different. Much older. Maybe it's been abandoned for centuries. Kim came onto the bridge, wiping grease from his hands. The quantum weapon modifications had worked, but the system needed major repairs before they could fight again. Captain, we need at least 8 hours to fix the quantum core, Kim reported. And we need a safe place to work. The Krillians will find us if we stay here. Lee made a decision that felt dangerous but necessary. Park, set course for that station. Maybe we can hide there while Kim makes repairs. The journey to the ancient station took 2 hours. As they got closer, the structure became more impressive and mysterious. It was built like a giant flower with 6 metal petals spreading out from a central hub. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing faintly in the darkness. "I've never seen anything like this," Park said with wonder in her voice. The station had docking ports that looked similar to human designs, but older and more advanced. The Teguk's Fury connected to one of the ports without difficulty, as if the station was designed to accept any type of ship. "Artificial gravity is working," Kim reported as they prepared to go inside. "Atmosphere is breathable, but there are no life signs." Lee decided to explore the station with a small team. He took Park Kim and Lieutenant Choi Hee-jin with him. They carried weapons and portable scanners, not knowing what they might find in the dark corridors. The station's interior was beautiful and strange. The walls were made of a material that looked like crystal and metal mixed together. Soft lights came on automatically as they walked, following their movement through empty hallways. "Someone built this place to last forever," Kim said, examining the construction. "The technology is hundreds of years ahead of anything humans have." They found what looked like a control room at the center of the station. Dozens of screens and control panels lined the walls, all dark and silent. But when Park touched one of the panels, the entire room came alive with light and sound. Holographic displays appeared in the air, showing star charts and alien writing. A gentle voice began speaking in a language none of them understood, but slowly the words changed, becoming clearer until they were speaking perfect human language. "Welcome, visitors," the voice said. "I am the guardian of this station. I have been waiting for someone to come." The team looked at each other with surprise and fear. They were talking to an artificial intelligence that had learned their language in seconds. "Who built this place?" Lee asked. Images appeared on the screens showing tall, graceful beings with 4 arms and large eyes. They looked peaceful and intelligent, nothing like the brutal Krillians. "The hegemony," the AI replied. "My creators ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years, until the Krillians came." More images showed great battles between the peaceful hegemony and the insect-like Krillians. The war had lasted for centuries, but eventually the hegemony was defeated and their entire civilization destroyed. "The Krillians took our technology and used it to conquer other worlds," the AI continued. "But they never found this station. I have been hiding here, keeping our knowledge safe." Kim was fascinated by the advanced technology around them. "What kind of weapons did your people build?" "Quantum resonance devices," the AI answered. "Weapons that could destabilize matter at the molecular level. Much like the weapon your ship carries, but far more powerful." Park realized something important. "You've been watching us. You know about our ship." "Yes," the AI said. "I detected your quantum weapon when you arrived. The technology is based on hegemony principles, though your people developed it independently. This is why I chose to reveal myself." While they talked with the AI, Choi was exploring other parts of the station. She found rooms filled with strange machines and devices. Some looked like weapons. Others seemed to be computers or scientific instruments. In one room, she discovered something that made her heart race. Prison cells, but not empty ones. Dozens of humans were being held in stasis pods, their bodies frozen in time. "Captain," she called over the radio. "You need to see this." Lee and the others rushed to Choi's location. The sight of human prisoners made them all angry. These people had been captured during previous battles with the Krillians. Some of the uniforms showed they had been here for years. "Can we wake them up?" Lee asked the AI. "Yes, but carefully. Their bodies need time to adjust after long stasis." As they began the process of reviving the prisoners, the AI shared more information about the hegemony's weapons technology. The quantum resonance devices could do more than just destroy ships. They could create chain reactions that spread from one target to another. If properly configured, the AI explained, a single quantum pulse could destroy an entire fleet by jumping from ship to ship. Kim's eyes went wide with understanding. "That's what we need. Can you help us modify our weapon?" "I can do better than that," the AI replied. "I can integrate hegemony technology directly into your ship's systems. But there are risks." "What kind of risks?" Lee asked. "The enhanced weapon will be incredibly powerful but also unstable. Using it at full power might destroy your own ship along with the enemy fleet." Meanwhile, the first rescued prisoners were beginning to wake up. They were confused and frightened. not understanding where they were or how much time had passed. Choi helped calm them down while medical teams from the Teguk's Fury came to assist. One of the rescued prisoners was a captain named Han Jae-sung, who had been captured 3 years ago. When he learned about the current situation, he shared important intelligence about the Krillian fleet. "They're carrying more prisoners," Han told Lee. "Hundreds of humans on their command ships. The aliens use them as hostages to force our fleets to surrender." This news made the mission even more complicated. They couldn't just destroy the Krillian fleet if it meant killing innocent humans. They needed a more precise solution. The AI had been listening to their conversation. There may be a way to disable the Krillian ships without destroying them. The quantum resonance can be tuned to target their specific technology while leaving human-built systems undamaged. How long would it take to make these modifications? Kim asked. 6 hours, the AI replied. But you should know that the Krillians are already searching for this station. They detected your ship's energy signature when you docked. Park checked her scanners and confirmed the bad news. Multiple Krillian ships approaching. They'll be here in 4 hours. Lee felt the weight of impossible choices. They could run and try to hide again, but Earth would fall. They could fight with their current weapons, but hundreds of human prisoners would die. Or they could trust an ancient alien AI to modify their ship with untested technology. We stay, Lee decided. Kim, work with the AI to upgrade our weapons. Park, help me plan our attack. We're going to save those prisoners and stop the Krillian fleet. Sir, Choi said quietly. What if the weapon doesn't work? What if we're destroyed in the process? Lee looked at his young officer and the rescued prisoners around them. These people had already sacrificed everything for humanity's freedom. Now it was his turn to take the risk. Then we'll die knowing we tried, he answered. But I don't think we're going to die today. I think we're going to win. The next few hours would test that confidence. The Krillians were coming, and soon the ancient station would become a battlefield. But for the first time since the mission began, Lee felt hope. They had allies now, even if those allies were ghosts in the machine. The Teguk's Fury moved silently through the asteroid field like a metal shark hunting in dark water. Captain Lee Woo-jin watched the scanner screens as 3 Krillian scout ships appeared at the edge of sensor range. The aliens looked like giant insects with 6 legs and sharp teeth. Their ships were black and angular, designed to cause fear. Contact, Park Sora whispered from her station. 3 Krillian scouts moving in formation, Lee nodded. This was their first test. The scouts would report back to the main fleet if they found anything suspicious. But they had to be destroyed quietly, without alerting the other aliens. Choi, take your fighters out, Lee ordered. Silent running. Use the asteroids as cover. Lieutenant Choi Hye-jin was already in her fighter, moving through space with her squadron. 20 small ships spread out among the floating rocks. They looked like tiny fish swimming between coral reefs. The fighters had special engines that made almost no heat signature. The aliens couldn't see them coming. The first Krillian scout ship was huge compared to a human fighter. It had thick armor and powerful weapons, but it was also slow and couldn't turn quickly. Choi led her fighters in a perfect ambush. They attacked from 3 directions at once, firing plasma bolts that lit up the darkness. The alien ship exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The other 2 scouts immediately turned toward the attack, but they were too late. Human fighters swarmed around them like angry bees. Within minutes, all 3 alien ships were destroyed. Good work, Lee said into his radio. Come back home. But as the fighters returned, Kim Dong-ho ran onto the bridge with bad news. His face was pale and worried. He carried a tablet full of complex numbers and equations. Captain, we have a problem, Kim said. The quantum weapon needs 12 hours to charge for a full power shot. But the main Krillian fleet will be here in 6 hours. Park looked up from her calculations. How powerful will the weapon be at half charge? Maybe enough to damage 1 or 2 ships, Kim replied. But not enough to stop 800. Lee felt his heart sink. Their main weapon wouldn't be ready in time. They would have to fight the entire alien fleet with conventional weapons and 20 fighters. It was hopeless. There might be another way, Park said slowly. She was studying the ship's systems on her screen. We have experimental stealth technology. Never been tested in real combat, but it might hide us from their sensors. How long can we stay hidden? Lee asked. Unknown, sir. The stealth system uses a lot of power. Maybe 2 or 3 hours before the aliens detect us. Lee thought quickly. 2 hours wasn't much time, but it might be enough to get close to the enemy fleet. Maybe they could cause more damage from inside their formation. Do it, he decided. Activate the stealth system. The ship began to change. Special panels on the hull shifted and moved, creating new angles that scattered enemy sensor beams. The engines switched to a quieter mode that produced less heat. On alien sensors, the Tegux Fury would look like just another asteroid. While they waited for the Krillian fleet, Choi led her fighters on reconnaissance missions. They flew far ahead using tiny cameras to watch for the approaching enemies. What they found was worse than anyone expected. "Captain," Choi's voice came through the radio. "You need to see this." Images appeared on the main screen. The Krillian Grand Fleet was enormous. Hundreds of black ships moved through space in perfect formation, battleships as big as cities, cruisers bristling with weapons, thousands of fighters ready for battle. But there was something else. Some of the alien ships had strange attachments on their hulls, cylindrical pods that looked different from Krillian technology. "Are those what I think they are?" Park asked quietly. Kim enhanced the images on his computer. The pods became clearer. Through small windows, they could see movement inside. "Human movement. Prison ships," Lee said with anger in his voice. "They're carrying human prisoners." The discovery changed everything. These weren't just enemy ships anymore. They carried innocent people who had been captured in previous battles. Attacking the fleet might kill the very humans they were trying to save. "How many prisoners?" Lee asked. "Unknown," Choi replied, "but I count at least 50 prison pods spread across different ships." The main Krillian fleet was getting closer. On the scanner, Lee could see the massive formation approaching the asteroid field. At their current speed, they would reach Earth in less than 5 hours. "Sir," Park said, "they're splitting up." The alien fleet divided into 2 groups. The larger group, about 500 ships, continued toward Earth. The smaller group of 300 ships spread out through the asteroid field, searching for the human warship that had destroyed their scouts. "They know we're here," Lee realized. "They're hunting us." The first hunter group entered the asteroid field like predators searching for prey. Their sensors swept back and forth looking for any sign of the human ship. The Tegux Fury drifted behind a large asteroid, engines silent, stealth system active. Alien ships passed close enough to touch. Their hulls were covered in strange symbols and weapon ports. Lee could see Krillian soldiers moving behind lighted windows. The enemies were so close he could count their weapons. One alien cruiser stopped near their hiding spot. Its sensors probed the asteroid they hid behind. Warning lights flashed on the bridge of the Tegux Fury. Their stealth system was being tested. "They're scanning us," Park whispered. For long minutes, the alien ship hung in space like a metal predator. Its sensors reached out, trying to find what didn't belong. The human crew held their breath and waited. Finally, the Krillian ship moved away. Its captain had decided the asteroid was just another rock in space. But Lee knew they couldn't stay hidden much longer. The aliens were smart and patient. Eventually, they would find the human ship. "We need to move," he decided. "Find a new hiding spot." The Tegux Fury drifted from asteroid to asteroid, always staying hidden from alien sensors. It was like a deadly game of hide-and-seek, played among floating mountains of rock and ice. But Kim was working on something in the engine room. He had been studying the ship's systems and the asteroid field itself. There was another way to fight if they were clever enough. "Captain," Kim's voice came through the intercom. "I have an idea. These asteroids contain a lot of metal ore. If we adjust our quantum weapon to a lower setting, we might be able to destabilize the metal in the rocks." "What do you mean?" Lee asked. "Turn the asteroids into weapons, sir. Make them explode when alien ships get close." Park's eyes lit up with understanding. "Asteroid mines. We could set traps throughout the field." "How long would it take?" Lee asked. 2 hours to modify the weapon," Kim replied. "Then we could create explosions wherever we want." Lee looked at the scanner. Krillian ships were moving through the asteroid field, getting closer to Earth with every minute. But if they could turn the asteroids into weapons, maybe one ship could fight hundreds. "Do it," he ordered. "But we need to be smart about this. We can't save Earth if we get ourselves killed." The next 2 hours were the longest of their lives. Kim and his engineers worked frantically to modify the quantum weapon. Park planned attack routes through the asteroid field. Choi prepared her fighters for hit-and-run attacks, and Lee watched the alien fleet move closer to his home world. Soon they would have to fight. One experimental human warship against the might of an entire alien empire. But humans had always been good at fighting against impossible odds. Today, they would prove it again. Captain Li Wujin stood on the bridge of the warship Taeguk's Fury, staring at the emergency message that had just arrived. His hands shook as he read the words again. The Krillian Empire's Grand Fleet was coming to Earth. 800 alien warships were moving through space like a deadly storm. Every human fleet that tried to stop them was destroyed. The Kepler station felt quiet around him. Too quiet. Most of the other ships had already left to join the hopeless fight. Only his ship remained here at the edge of human space. The Taeguk's Fury was different from other warships. It carried a weapon that had never been tested in real battle. A weapon that might save humanity or destroy everything. Commander Park Sora walked up to him. Her cybernetic arm made soft clicking sounds as she moved. She had lost her real arm in a battle 2 years ago. The scars on her face told stories of many fights against the aliens. She looked at the message and her face became hard like stone. "How long do we have?" she asked. 6 hours before they reach Earth's outer defenses, Lee replied. Maybe 12 hours before they attack the homeworld. Park nodded slowly. She had run the numbers in her head many times. Earth's remaining fleets could not stop 800 Krillian ships. The aliens had better weapons and stronger shields. They had been winning this war for 30 years. Chief Engineer Kim Dong-ho came running onto the bridge. Sweat covered his face and his clothes were dirty from working in the engine room. He was the man who had built the quantum weapon system, the same system that might be humanity's last hope. "Captain, the quantum core is ready," Kim said, breathing hard. "But I need to tell you something important. The weapon has never been fired at full power. We don't know what will happen." Lee looked at his crew. These people had been with him through many battles. They trusted him to make the right choice. But what choice did they have? Let the aliens destroy Earth without fighting, or take one experimental ship against an entire fleet? Lieutenant Choi Hee-jin stood near the pilot controls. She was young, maybe 25 years old. Her fighter squadron was the best in the human fleet. She looked scared but ready to fight. All of them looked ready to fight. "Sir," Park said quietly, "Admiral Yang is sending us new orders." The main screen came alive. Admiral Yang Sung-ho appeared, looking older than Lee remembered. The stress of leading humanity's last defense had aged him quickly. His uniform was perfect, but his eyes showed the weight of knowing millions would die. "Captain Lee," Yang began, "I'm sending you coordinates for the asteroid belt. Intelligence says the Krillian fleet will pass through there in 6 hours. Your mission is to slow them down. Give us time to evacuate Earth's cities." Lee felt his heart sink. Yang was asking him to die. One ship against 800. It was impossible. But Yang continued talking. "The Taeguk's Fury is our most advanced warship. Your quantum weapon might be able to damage their fleet. Even if you only destroy a few ships, it might make them think twice about attacking Earth." "Admiral," Lee said, "with respect, my ship can't fight 800 vessels." Yang's face became sad. "I know, Captain. I'm asking you to buy us time. Every hour you delay them means more people escape Earth. More children live to see another day." The transmission ended. The bridge became quiet again. Lee looked at each of his crew members. Kim was checking his tablet, running calculations. Park was studying star charts. Choi was preparing her fighters. All of them knew this was a death mission. "Captain," Park said, "there might be a way. The asteroid field has thousands of rocks floating in space. We could use them as cover. Hit-and-run attacks. Make the aliens think we have more ships than we do." Kim looked up from his tablet. "The quantum weapon needs 12 hours to charge for a full power shot. But I can fire smaller bursts every few minutes. We might be able to take out some of their scout ships." Lee walked to the window and looked out at space. Stars filled the darkness like tiny diamonds. Somewhere out there, alien ships were coming to destroy his homeworld. His family lived on Earth, his parents, his sister, millions of innocent people. "All right," he said, turning back to his crew. "We're going to make those aliens remember this day. Park, plot a course for the asteroid belt. Kim, charge the quantum weapon. Choi, get your fighters ready." "Yes, sir," they all said together. The next hour passed quickly. The crew prepared for battle while the ship moved through hyperspace. Lee walked through the corridors talking to his people. The ship carried 300 crew members. All of them knew they might not see tomorrow. In the fighter bay, Choi was checking her small ships. 20 fighters were ready for battle, not many against an alien fleet, but they were fast and hard to hit. The pilots looked nervous but determined. "Lieutenant," Lee said to Choi, "your fighters will be our eyes and ears. Stay alive and tell us what you see. We'll make every shot count, Captain, she replied. In the engine room, Kim was making final adjustments to the quantum weapon. The machine hummed with dangerous energy. Warning lights flashed red and yellow. This weapon could tear apart space itself if something went wrong. How powerful is it? Lee asked. At full charge, it could destroy a small moon, Kim said. But we've never tested it. The energy might tear our own ship apart. Lee nodded. Every choice came with risks. But doing nothing meant certain death for everyone on Earth. Back on the bridge, Park had finished planning their attack route. The asteroid field stretched for millions of kilometers. Rocks of all sizes floated in the darkness. Some were as big as cities. Others were small as houses. The aliens will come through here, Park said, pointing at the star chart. It's the fastest route to Earth. We can hide behind the big asteroids and attack when they're not expecting it. Good plan, Lee said. How long until we arrive? 2 hours, Captain. Lee sat in his captain's chair and closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his childhood on Earth, playing in the garden with his sister, his father teaching him to be brave, his mother's smile when he graduated from the Space Academy. When he opened his eyes, the bridge crew was watching him. They needed him to be strong. They needed him to believe they could win. Today we make history, Lee said. Today humanity shows the galaxy that we don't give up. No matter what happens, they'll remember the Tiguk's fury. The ship dropped out of hyperspace. Through the window, Lee could see thousands of asteroids floating in space. Somewhere in the distance, 800 alien warships were coming. But for now, the asteroid field was quiet and peaceful. The hunt was about to begin.